taken by Deng to solve these particular challenges. As you saw in the video, instead of hiring trained sales force, which actually adds to your capital expenditure, what they did was they created training institutes. They just didn't created training institutes based out of the knowledge they had. They got it accredited with national institutions. Their training program was partnered with one of the science and technology university, which is local to Ghana, and they used professional services from an Australian company, which is an expert in implementing solar PV and solar home systems. So this kind of gives a credibility so that people can relate to these kind of training programs. And what this actually in turn created was, they were not only training trainees, they were not just educating people, they were also creating salespeople there. What in turn happened was, these people who got trained there ended up either becoming dealers or distributors or even joining the same company as salespeople. So the problem of the trained sales force was eradicated. So these are the things which they actually did, and let's try to fit what they have done into a business model. It's like, this is actually provided by, it's called as a green business model, provided by United Nations Energy Program, and it contains three major factors. One is taking action, leading indicators, and financial value drivers.
They are a very small company, 40 employees, and revenue is $6.47 million. So these people are consultants who go to different countries, and then they lay out a plan and to create a business plan and tell them like how to go ahead. So let's go into detail. Core competencies. I know in this room, I think so you're into community, involvement. You're focused into community involvement, and GMN is going to expand into have a more geographical focus inside Indonesia. I guess, and Imprima is into like you want long-term sustainability goals and not looking at short-term goals. This case study, this company is a combination of all these three. How did they overcome? How did they achieve all this? The reason is their importance is community stakeholder and participation. Using community stakeholder and participation, they want to do a technology transfer to the community, because integration as a company, they do not take up projects and be at the end of the project. They want to hand over this project at some point of time. They cannot be at the end of the project all the time. So they have to do technology transfer. And how do they do technology transfer? Is through training and development. They find the right people in the community, they train them through, and it's also a process of creating entrepreneurs. So they groom these entrepreneurs so that they could go ahead and then create their own businesses. So all these factors are involved in this company, and it's a great example which you all can relate it to it. And
Sorry, Andre, do you want to add anything?
You want to?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Well, I got into it for two reasons actually. I really wanted to make a difference, and I always have ever since I've been for a long time. And two, I have my engineering hat on and looking at the issues in Indonesia, and I really believe that distributed power generation, which fits in really well with renewable energy, is the key for Indonesia's energy future. So that's kind of, well, I just put them together, and I shouldn't be losing too much money. So.
Okay.
New Ventures had a very broad focus up until last year, and I think that was holding us back actually. So I think that one of the key challenges in Indonesia is energy, and one of the best ways that we can help is in this sector. So and it's increasingly the amount of work in the industry is increasing every year. So we wanted to play a part in that.
Okay. Well, they didn't acquire a company, they did it the hard way, and what they did was, through their network, they just tried to find somebody who had the expertise, and eventually they found a company in Denmark who, Denmark has a huge green movement going on there, and they knew how to make these boilers. The problem was, to make a boiler in Denmark and ship it all the way to Malaysia, is incredibly expensive. There's no one who could buy it. Yes, it's a luxury item, but I'm pretty sure they're not going to find that many people who can really afford at that kind of price point. So what they did was a technology knowledge transfer agreement. Has anyone heard of that before?
It's a model, right? It's not just the individual who's head of a startup, because that's what most people think. The entrepreneur is the startup, right? It's the first person to set up shop and start an office, and that's not what it is. So what is an entrepreneurial in an overall sense? And this model really can be applied to all of the cases. So you have the vision model, and that's really about integration, and that's about the leadership, and it's about the community, right? When integration comes into Afghanistan, they are the center of the operation, right? So they need to be the strong presence there and bring everybody together. Before them, this project had not been inclusive of all the different ethnicities, all the different tribes, and the government and all the stakeholders. They were the center pillar, and that's what that is. That's the entrepreneurial mindset, is being the center and having.
And actually, in economies like Indonesia, you have a bigger advantage than you do in other countries where you already have like a developed middle class, like it's in the U.S. Actually, in Indonesia, you're like prime time to do this, because as the middle class grows and you have more disposable income, now you have the question, well, what am I going to spend it on? Before, it was just about, like, if you're going from like poverty level to, let's say, middle class, before it was about survival, right? And it's about, in a sense, like sustaining the family unit. Whereas now you have disposable income. Now you're more interested in, well, I'm going to make, what do I want to do with this money? Like, I have an option now, right? And now you become more of an informed consumer. You want to think, what do I want to spend this on? Do I want to, get a TV? Do I want to, and that's where you look, oh, what does my neighbor have? So in countries like Indonesia, you have a bigger advantage when you start now differentiating yourself. And service is the biggest one in reality, because when you move from just price, like I'm buying this because it's cheap, to now, oh, I'm getting added service, because that's like the ultimate status symbol, right? When you see a driver pull up and pick you up in a limousine, right? It's kind of like human nature. Everyone thinks that's cool, and that's where you have that. Service is the next level of differentiation.